Well, this week is Home and Garden Week on Good Morning Vail, and Johnny from Johnny's Garden is here to tell us about cutting back the perennials, raking your leaves, getting your beds ready for winter, maybe that winter fertilization. John, there's a lot of things you got to do this time of year.
Several things, and they're really critical to not only put the garden to bed successfully this fall, but it's also really important to make sure that they reemerge next spring healthy and vigorous.
Well, you know what? You think about the money and time you invest into your garden all summer. Don't just think it's just going to take care of itself over the winter.
That's exactly right. The level of preparation and care that you give it putting it to bed in the fall will help emerge in the spring.
Okay, well, during the break, he was actually starting to cut back some of the perennials, and you need to know how far to cut them back and why that's important.
That's right. Putting your gardens to bed includes cutting back your perennials. Because remember, if you've been watching here on TV8, you'll remember that raking up those leaves and disposing of all the spent foliage is really important to make sure that you don't carry spores of like powdery mildew into the next season.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
You want to get that out of there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you got to make sure you rake your leaves, especially if you've got aspen trees and deciduous plants, to make sure that you rake up your leaves really thoroughly. So those two activities are really important to make sure that the next year's garden is healthy.
Okay. Now, give us an example of like how far to cut these back. Why don't you grab that one here?
Well, there are several ways to do this. Remember, perennials come back year after year, so you'll see in here this basal growth right here, and this is what you want to look for before you cut your perennials back. You can see this guy is what it looked like before, and then this is what it looks like after we cut it back, and you'll want to leave a few little stalks to give it some support for next spring. So this is what it'll look like once you cut it back.
Okay, and then how about this one right
Okay,
here?
this guy's a columbine. This guy has really clearly defined basal growth, and you can see it right in here. These leaves right here, and right in here, that's next year's growth.
Okay.
So that's what you want to cut back to, right to that level. Make sure you leave a little bit, not only to give it some strength next spring, but to make sure that that basal growth is healthy when it emerges.
Okay, and then what about winter fertilizer? Tell us about what you should apply then.
Winterizer fertilizer is real important to get on your lawn this time of year, and that's a little higher in phosphorus and potassium to help some roots grow, and it helps early green up in the spring.
Okay. I was part of the Vail Resorts Echo Tree Planting Day this past Saturday. We were planting a couple of cottonwoods and currants and rosewood, and we put beaver cages around the cottonwoods. So are there things we can do for some of these pests that might want to try to eat some of our trees?
That's right. Lots of people down in Eagle Ranch have a problem with deer and elk, as well as beaver, and you can wrap cages around them. That's really helpful for people who live like in East Vail along the river. They have a problem with beaver coming in there, and they'll cut down those aspens just in one night.
Okay.
So it's a good idea to put some protection
Put the cage
those.
around there. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about winterizing and irrigation.
Yep, that's another step you got to do this fall is winterize your irrigation system. Make sure that we come in, blow compressed air through it, make sure it's shut down properly, and so there's no freeze damage over the winter.
And then what about planting bulbs?
This is the time of year to plant your bulbs, so don't forget. Every year in the springtime we get people coming in, oh, I love those yellow flowers. Well, those are bulbs, and we had to plant those in the fall.
Okay.
So this is the time of year to do that, so plan your garden accordingly.
All right, you can give them a call if you have any questions about the basal growth or what to look for with your winterizing, whether it's fertilizing, irrigation. Give them a call, 827-9200 or johnnysgarden.com. We'll be right back. We're going to take it back inside to Ty.